Hello, my name is Belinda Foran and I'm currently completing a Bachelor of Psychological Science at the University of New England. I'm completing this presentation as part of an assignment for PSYC308, Sport and Exercise Psychology. My topic today is the relationship between eating disorders and sport. I'll be referring to the term eating disorders collectively throughout the presentation. These will include anorexia nervosa, bulimia and disordered eating. So I'll just give you a quick rundown of the definitions of these three terms. And once again, I'll be referring to them as a collective throughout the presentation. So anorexia nervosa is a diagnosed condition. A few of the symptoms that are required for diagnosis include refusal to maintain a minimum body weight. So it's usually at least 15% below average. An intense fear of gaining weight or becoming fat. Feeling fat even when individuals are clearly underweight. And in females, an absence of menstrual cycles for at least 3 months. Bulimia includes episodes of binge eating, lack of control over eating behaviours, and recurrent and regular self-induced vomiting, the use of laxatives or diuretics, strict dieting, fasting, or rigorous exercise. Disordered eating is a relatively new term which has come about due to the fact that individuals clearly have a disordered eating routine, however, cannot be placed in the aforementioned diagnosis of anorexia nervosa and bulimia. So it's the middle ground of eating disorders or eating problems that do not quite meet the criteria of the disorders already mentioned. There are some serious difficulties in assessing the prevalence of eating disorders in sport. This is due to the fact of underreporting. So throughout the competitive sport environment, athletes do not want to report the fact that they have an eating disorder, as it may mean they will be cut from a team or a sporting program, or the fact that they will be encouraged to seek treatment, which could inhibit them from competing or training for their chosen sport. I believe the seed is planted quite early in regards to eating disorders and the development of these disorders. So eating disorders and disordered eating can be firmly placed when females in particular are very young. So the Western culture especially values thinness and beauty, and there is a plethora of judging and fat shaming that children and adolescents would witness on a daily basis. This includes stories from the media, social situations, the internet, celebrities, magazines, and criticisms from parents, friends and coaches who comment about what they look like and their weight. So a study suggests that 46% of high school girls diet, 40% of 9-year-olds diet, and there are cases where 5-year-olds are concerned about their diet. And at this stage, most athletes have not even started their professional or serious competitive sporting careers. So further issues will develop as they get older. There are contributing factors to individuals who experience disordered eating or are diagnosed with an eating disorder. So these come from the idea that there are predisposed sports which require you to look a certain way and weigh a certain weight. So there's the category of lean sports such as distance running, dancing and gymnastics. Aesthetically judged sports, so once again gymnastics and equitation. Weight class sports, which require you to weigh a certain weight to compete, include ski jumping, wrestling, jockeying and boxing, for example. And then there's the sports that require females especially to wear revealing uniforms. So these include swimming, female volleyball and female athletics. One of the other main contributing factors is the pressure that athletes feel from their coaches and peers. So whether coaches unknowingly or knowingly exert pressure on athletes, it does happen. There have been cases where coaches have promoted unhealthy attitudes towards weight and blatant fat shaming by creating groups such as the Fat Club, as reported in the Austin American Statesman newspaper. Research indicates that the athletes who receive support, continued support from parents and coaches, rather than critical comments about their weight, are less likely to develop disordered eating. So it is important that we continue to support those young, especially young athletes who could be on the verge of developing these types of disorders. Genetic and biological factors, of course, play a part also. Striegel, Moore and Bulick discuss a number of studies investigating biological and environmental predictors for eating disorders which have developed along parallel tracks. Therefore, it would be wise to consider that certain genetic and biological traits of an individual interacting with certain environmental factors could have increased chances of developing an eating disorder. So at this stage, studies are suggesting that environmental factors and genetic factors are running side by side at this point, and some individuals could be more predisposed to these disorders than others. So how do we fix this? How do we improve individuals' self-esteem and try to discourage the use of disordered eating within our sporting community? The most important measure to take is prevention and education. So we need to promote proper nutritional practices. We need to focus on health and fitness, not body weight and physical appearance. We must be sensitive to any individual's weight issue, which includes those individuals internalizing these issues rather than speaking out about them, which could trigger the development of a disorder if they are constantly being criticised about their weight. We also need to promote healthy weight management. So this is a combination of exercise and nutrition rather than the fasting, the crash diets, and any type of medication that's given to promote weight loss. Whether it's a coach, teacher, counsellor, family or friends who notice that an individual could be developing an eating disorder, we all must approach those individuals with calm and understanding. As with any other clinical psychological disorder, it must be treated by a trained professional in this field, as it can be fatal and or debilitating for the rest of their lives. So these type of eating disorders lead towards starvation, heart disease and osteoporosis, just to name a few. However, until our societal values change and we stop placing so much importance and pressure on our young people to be thin and beautiful, there will always be a problem with eating disorders in sport and in the general population. Prevention and education about balanced exercise and nutrition is the only way to stop these individuals developing these serious cases of eating disorders. This needs to come from the supportive coaches, family, friends, and community as a whole. Thank you.